Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission.
Tell me a little bit about these initiatives that you guys have joined. Some of you have founded, some you've partnered with. You have Big Life, you have 2414, Zume. Tell me more, Megan, your music and how it impacts a culture. Why these things for the unreached?
I think even before that, when I think about those different pieces, there's a lot of moving parts, right? But before any of that, it's relational before it's organizational. I'm not trying to make more orgs. We're not trying to go out and start new initiatives for the sake of initiative. Really, it comes down to Zach and Megan in our home. Like, if we can do this well and be the church in our home, now we actually have something worthy that we can give away. And so it's disciples in churches. So disciples in churches in Indiana, disciples in churches in North America, disciples in churches globally. Like right now, this podcast is a great example of the church in our home, the church in your home, Thailand and America co-laboring with one another as disciples in churches. However, like, our last name is Duke, and we're not going to change our last name because we want to just be so unified with other people. What that looks like organizational is we want the Duke family to be great, or in other words, we want Big Life to be great. But we also love your last name and we love your organization. We want that to be great. And that's the body working together. So some of the pieces we're involved in with Big Life as an org, but more importantly, disciples and churches. Zume, which is a tool that is a co-laboring effort to work with any and all ministries. 2414, which is just a coalition of disciples and churches globally. Working on a project called the Jesus Songs, which is like pretty much the Jesus film, except in song version, that has going, sowing, harvesting, gathering tools that are built into it. That's white labeled to all ministries, which is essentially training people, disciple making through song in very childlike ways. And so on the music end, you can share just about your music side. But I think the best way to frame this in a Western context where it's all orgs and hierarchy and progress, like, we need to think through disciples and churches, lowerarchy, and serving one another. And I think those mindset shifts are so important. But as far as the music side, what does that look like for you as a music artist?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the same way, worship, filling our home, being intentional with just that, the small simplicity of that. We're parents of 4 young children. And so being able to invite them to experience what it's like to worship the Lord in our home. And then even outside of that, in our neighborhoods and communities, I think about how our daughter, when she was 4 or 5 years old, she started a program called Game Life, which is just like a discovery Bible study, disciple making program for kids. In our cul-de-sac. Worship being a part of that as well. In our school, we started a school just last year, and the main mission being to empower and equip parents to teach and train their own children for Jesus Christ, to walk in His ways. And so incorporating worship into that, and then even on just a bigger scale, Zach and I together, we got into songwriting, with missions being really the heartbeat behind all of the songs that we wrote, coming out with that album in the midst of COVID, being able to, use the songs that God gave us to bless people that were just very desperate and in need of hope, and to feel like there's purpose even in the midst of the pain that they were experiencing, which is then to experience God and His love and be able to share it with others.
Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.